Yeah, hello and welcome back to Twosun Tuesday. Yeah, you can see my mat's a little bit different. I still do have the standard wood one over here, but I'm playing around with things a little bit, seeing if this might be a little bit better. I can see a little bit more shadows over here. That's super annoying, but we'll stick with it with this and see how it kind of turns out. But this is the Twosun TS305, and I have 14C written here because this is basically the initial run of this knife, which was in 14C28N. This knife still seems to be quite readily available from time to time on White Mountain Knives as well as Amazon through the seller there. But the new models of these use M390 rather than the 14C that I've seen here. That's pretty much all right. Both steels are perfectly fine, and I'm happy enough with 14C that because there isn't really any difference, I haven't really pursued trying to get one of the M390 ones here. Looks like I got a couple of scratches there, and of course I've just now put a fingerprint on there too. That's great. I have some, I don't know, cuticle oil stuff going on my fingers. Mostly because I'm trying to heal up that thing that Twosun knife stabbed into the side of my finger with. And these things are getting dry and causing hangnails and crap like that. So there we go. This is, of course, another Mazwan Mokhtar design. This is one of the older ones where essentially you don't see his maker's mark anywhere. It's actually on the inside of the liners because he does like to make his knives kind of clean and concise without having a whole bunch of branding going on there. That's why you don't see the Twosun logo on there either. It's, of course, laser etched to the titanium as well. I don't know if Twosun has basically fought back against that with some newer models, whereas it seems like he doesn't really have the choice and the Twosun logo is on them. I don't necessarily know if that's, just part of their design process or if it was just something that changed with him. But hey, there you go. So we'll see that a little bit later going on here. This is a very neutral design. It does have a bit of a curve there and then a nice shelf for your pinky to sit there. And with the hump being as far back as it is, that really makes it quite nice and comfortable for a nice saber grip, like so. If you do choke up on this thing, I think that's a little bit of what this kind of harpoonish kind of look is there, because this hump is, yeah, you can see that's just way far back there. My thumb is all sorts of cramped up. Like, yeah, it's about cramped up enough that I just ran a marathon and then decided to go to sleep without kind of rehydrating or giving me any electrolytes, and then my legs in the middle of the night. Yeah, that's about how cramped that is. But yeah, you can use that little guy there. Of course, that's also helpful for an index finger for doing a little bit more utilitarian cuts. We don't have, it's not super rounded, but it's also not pointy. I can grab that and really dig that end of my palm with the back of my fingers there, and it's not uncomfortable. You definitely notice it's there. It's not going to be like the most smoothest fixed blade kind of thing back there, but still works a lot better than you might otherwise think. The action on it, quite nice. You see the centering on this. I've of course taken this apart a couple of times and stuff like that, but super nice. And because of the way the titanium, well, I guess subframe ends up working out, it can be really, really apparent if this knife is kind of out of alignment. You can really see that compared to where that center line is there. But I really do appreciate this kind of thing. It does remind me of, let's see if I can't find this guy. Aha, I did. Good, that was fast. Like the Gulper here, which is a knife that I think I've taken a full look at. If not, then I've at least done it on an unboxing sort of thing. This is the original S90V version. They do have a newer version in D2. That's apparently the wrong way for me to grab it. Okay, there we go. That's The other one. This is the D2 variant, and it's not full up there. Does change the weight quite a bit on it, but I really, really prefer those kind of things. Keeps the blade nice and out of the way. You know, you can't really see it at all. Just like a lot of other Mazwan Mokhtars, we do have that single kind of ball bearing point there. Not going to lie, it's not my favorite. It's quite difficult to get into a pair of pants without a lot of structural integrity already being there, like a nice tight belt or something like that. Getting it out of the pocket, though, no problem whatsoever. This is also a front flipper. Yeah, it works out pretty well. And something that would probably make Jared and Eve rather happy with it, I'm sure he's probably looked at this knife already as well, though, is the fact that the jimping goes all the way around. So I suppose if you are a little bit more of a fan of a reach around, which I'm apparently not able to do with this particular model, at least not right now in front of the camera, then that'll help you out a bit. But yeah, it's also got a nice hole for reverse flick or slow roll open. Not quite as comfortable to me on the whole front flick up as something like the TS129 is, but it still works out quite well. It's just probably not going to be my favorite way to deploy this particular knife. We got some nice carbon fiber contoured scales to go kind of inset into the titanium subframe here, and yep, it's kind of their standard basket weave that they've ended up carving down a bit. Nice and attractive. Obviously, no voids or anything like that. Twosun is pretty darn good at dealing with carbon fiber at this point. I would have kind of liked to see the lock bar be internal there, just because that does break things up just a little bit. But I can also understand that they didn't do internal milling on these things because it was all done externally here. So that would have just ended up costing an extra little session of CNC machinery. So I can understand why they didn't necessarily go with it that way. But yeah, super fantastic not having the blade really be exposed there. Unlike some other ones that may have had some undergrind issues or something like that, me nor basically anybody else that I've really seen talk about these guys has any problems whatsoever with blade wrap on these guys. So they've done a really good job of keeping that blade out of the reach of those kind of clamshell titanium handles there. So that's pretty darn good. And the clip is probably about as close as you can get for a titanium milled clip that's deep carry. You can see we basically only have just a little bit of that, maybe like 1/3 of an inch or something like that. That's visible. So that really makes it right deep in the pocket. This is not a small knife by any stretch of the imagination. Let's see. I don't have the measurements that I've already done on this. So in that particular case, then I will go ahead and just pull out my little calipalulus here. And yeah, we got basically 3.83 inches between flat there at the scale and the tip. So yes, not a small knife whatsoever. Because this doesn't have a flipper tab, this is super nice and flush with the scales when it's open. And it has, at least the thought of a finger choil, or not a finger choil, but a sharpening choil in there. And it kind of works. You can see just a little tiny bit. Maybe if I get the light on there correctly. I don't know. But I can see just a tiny bit where I may have grazed past there. But that's all right. I don't particularly mind that. I like to think of these as tools rather than collectibles that I need to hold in a box and or in a vacuum and never actually touch or play around with. Let's see. As far as the blade stock thickness goes on here, nice and thin. We basically got 3.25. I think that's basically where it is until I accidentally squished that there. So quite a bit thinner than a lot of other Twosuns there. We have kind of an angled up flat grind there. We do have a little bit of a plane back here. Helps a little bit if you want to clamp the blade back there because you have a flat portion available for it. I think I ended up clamping it here with the hump of that harpoon kind of thing being in the middle of the clamp. So I still had just a little bit of a flat portion there. But hey, your mileage is going to vary. I don't necessarily know how or how skilled or not you might be in sharpening. So yeah, whatever happens, happens. Let's see, the detent fairly early on this one too. That's good to see. Doesn't feel like we have a detent ramp on this one. I might be wrong on that. I don't see anything internally there. But because it's happening so early, that would probably actually not be a good thing for this particular model. But yeah, super, super nice action. Really, really appreciate all of that. Still, holding it in the standard saber grip, I do feel that this hump, and I've seen that on some other knives as well, kind of pushes me back a little bit further from the blade than I kind of would want. My thumb really feels, at least mine in particular, really feels like it wants to be about here before I end up running into a little hump that's keeping me from going forward. That might be a little bit different if you have some smaller, normal to smaller sized hands, then or at least shorter fingers, then that might not be an issue for you. But for me, kind of is a little weird. Like I said, you can choke up with the hammer grip there, and that's really comfortable. And if you're doing that, you can also get your thumb way up there for a whole bunch of downward pressure. And that works out great. But that's about the only kind of complaint I can really think of on this guy. Outside of the fact that, Mazwan's clips here with a little ball point thing, I'm pretty sure I'm repeating myself by saying that they're really difficult to actually get fully latched in a pocket. They offer a whole bunch of resistance before they actually get up there, rather than something that has a ramp like a lot of the other designers do. So there's that. I think Mazwan is kind of branching out from that a little bit on some of his very, very new designs. But this is certainly back in just a little bit further back where he was still super all up into these things. And yeah, with that pocket clip being way back there, also doesn't really bother me. Something that can happen, I think, a little bit more with a standard folded over deep carry clip. Something that I do kind of prefer these titanium milled clips for. Yeah, and part of that's probably just because I'm old school and I do appreciate a lot of old designs before they really came up with that. But, some of them can get really a whole lot of pressure on your pinky knuckle there that makes them a little bit uncomfortable. But, all right. Let's see, I got the blade length, I got that. How about the width? 16.5 millimeters essentially was what I was at there. So yeah, 0.65 of an inch. Interesting how that measurement worked out there. So this is, sits very, very deep in the pocket. It's not going to sit super, super nice and flat. This is kind of an opposite of like a Benchmade bug out or something of those varieties. Speaking of, I should probably do some blade size comparisons. You know what? Before I do that, I also didn't write down the weight measurements here, so let's go ahead and do that. As far as the ounces, 4.88, or 4.75, close enough. Or a little over 138 grams. So not a lightweight, and that obviously makes sense with having that clamshell design. Actually requires quite a bit more titanium than something that is much more open-backed. But, alrighty. Let's go ahead and do those comparisons here. First up, sure, we got the Spyderco PM2. Actually, it looks kind of small, or at least in overall blade length there compared to it. Manix 2XL. Yeah, it seems to be alright. It's a bit taller, but hey, that's certainly how that goes. And Well, I don't see it here. I might have put it somewhere else, but this is fairly close on the size to a Spyderco Shaman as well. The Shamans are just thicker because they have contoured scales. Let's see. I got a couple of Benchmades here. We got Chunk. There's the bug out there, and here's the 940. This one is probably much more in line with the size of the full-size Benchmade Crooked River, which, if you're familiar with that knife, it is not small. It is very much ostentatious, but still looking nice and traditional with the different wood handles and things like that you can get on it. Just figured I'd throw that out there. I do kind of want one, but certainly have not splurged anywhere near that much money to pick one up. There we go with the Ontario Rat number 1. And yeah, you can see it's just a little bit bigger than there. Just a little tiny bit more in the handle. And we have more blade length going on there. So yes, very much not a small knife. But if you do like something that's rather ostentatious, it still has a nice, interesting kind of a blade shape here. This is basically a drop point, but it doesn't. It looks like it curves up just a little bit more than that center pivot line there. So I guess the tip of it feels a little bit more like a spear point than a drop point, but you know, functionally that's kind of what it is. We just have a bit of an up cant to the blade, which is nice if you are cutting with the blade facing up a little bit. That'll help you stay in the cut a little bit more, or at least as far as my experience in doing the cutting. You know, obviously your mileage may vary on there, but that's everything that I wanted to cover with the standard review of this guy. So if that's what you're here for, appreciate y'all for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe if that's something that you feel like doing. But yes, for the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look under the covers, so to speak, here. Yeah, we do have basically, hidden lanyard piece behind this post here that holds that on there. So, oops, I forgot to cover that. But hey, you know, for the people who actually care about a lanyard hole, there you go. You got one there. T8 hardware, basically all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and shove that pin out the back a little bit there just to make it easier for me to remove the pocket clip there. And yeah, we're probably going to have several pins on the inside here because otherwise, well, I don't know. It's been quite a while since I've actually opened this guy up. I have Loctited this one. So there's that. A lot of times... No, not quite. A lot of times I have luck with basically bouncing a knife off of this kind of material. This is essentially a nice squishy mouse pad, so it's not actually hard on a knife by any stretch of the imagination. So I wouldn't really suggest you slamming something down on a hard countertop or something like that. But hey, this works for me quite well. This is being a little bit of a stubborn little thing, so I'm going to employ a little bit of priage going on here with, well, this is an iFixit, I don't remember what they call this thing, the Jimmy or something like that, but there we go. Yeah, we got only one pen, but there we go. We're inside nonetheless. As I was saying with this, there's also something from Italy called the Isesamo that I do find is a little bit better for doing electronics things. I think that thing was specifically designed for removing screens on iPhones back when those things were at least semi-replaceable or fixable. Now that they have firmware and stuff like that to detect if anybody's done any work on it, yeah, maybe a little bit less so. Unfortunately, they're not the most consumer-friendly company, but hey, I have one and I'm recording on it right now, so it is what it is. But okay, yeah, I don't really feel the need to pull this guy off when the other one will already give us what we need to see here. There's basically a little bit of pivot oil that's cripped up there over the last few months. We got that steel insert pin here. No over travel stop on it, but we do have a nice thick chunk of carbon fiber here to act as that there. So it has a little bit of that cut out for the screw there. We got that D-shaped pivot. Always appreciate to see that. Otherwise, not a whole lot of really exciting things to see in here. Yeah, I was right. This one does not have a detent wrap on it. And as I also mentioned earlier, that's not a bad thing in this particular case with how early that detent engages with the blade when you're closing it. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that. We just have the standard nice Twosun kind of thing going on here. Some of the really, really new Twosuns, so that's not counting this one, but I've seen a few models out as of, what is this? This is October 2022 that I'm recording this, that actually puts that D-shaped side onto the show face instead of the lock bar face. It actually makes it super, super easy for you to put the things back together because you don't have to worry about where that's aligned. So I really do appreciate that, but this is obviously not one of those. Let's see. I guess I didn't mention that earlier. This is an internal stop pin. It's not using a stop pin going through the handle itself or anything like that. So that helps a little bit with side-to-side wiggle stuff there. I'll go ahead and just throw this guy back together real quick. Oh, I forgot to even throw the pocket clip little thingamajigger back there. So let's go ahead and do that now. There we go. At that point, just toss the scale back there, remembering that you have that there, of course, and get the little guy back on here. I already do have, well, sorry about that. Welcome to Wrist Cam. But I already have lubrication on these, as you've seen there. In this particular case, I think it was long enough ago that this is using KPL standard. But a lot of times for knives these days, I've ended up using some of the different weights for them. Like on the pivot bearings, I'll end up using the really, really lightweight stuff, and then using the heavier stuff on the detent track, just so that it doesn't, ooze around. It really, really stays right where it is. But yeah, this thing's super easy to put back together. You just have that back piece, and that one, action's still quite nice on there. Yeah, centering's basically right about there. If I wanted to get it absolutely perfect, I'd probably try and loosen both of these up and fiddle around with them. But as it is, it's super nice, really back where it should be. And the action is all sorts of good too. So yeah, this one's quite easy to do a lot of maintenance on. But alrighty, this one's getting a bit long in the tooth. I'm sure you probably have more important things to do or more interesting videos to watch yourself. So with all that being said then, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.